Labdien, cienījamie klātesošie, cienījamie mēdīju pārstāvji. Sākam
And so, ladies and
Latvijas
gentlemen, we start press conference of foreign ministers of Latvia and Lithuania. Floor given to Mr. Rinkēvičs. Hello, representatives of media. We just ended our meeting with my colleague from Lithuania. I guess we meet each other like once a week, and I'm glad that he is in Riga in this two-parted visit, directly from Ukraine, from Odessa. And of course, we firstly discussed the situation in Ukraine and impressions of Mr. Landsbergis from his visit in Ukraine. So we discussed how can we support Ukraine even more internationally and also in our two-sided cooperation. And in my opinion, of course, we're all glad to see success of Ukrainian armed forces, but it's absolutely clear that war is not over. Support is quite important for Ukraine internationally. We also discussed the security situation around the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant that still remains one of the very important critical challenges of security, not only for Ukraine, but for whole Europe and world. The second topic that we discussed, as you might know, last week in Kaunas, foreign affairs ministers of Baltic states agreed about coordination in a matter of restricting border crossing of Russian Federation citizens that took force from September 19. Of course, we expect that initially maybe there could be some uncomfortable situation for some that didn't realize the short-term Schengen visas in none of the Baltic states. Such citizens are not expected and their entry will be closed. So this is what we discussed, and tomorrow we'll come up with our announcement and coordinated activities in issuing visas, so there are no surprises. Visas will be issued only regarding human considerations, and in fact this policy will be similar to all the countries and will be coordinated. In case of Latvia, that practically means that visas of several categories will be given to family members and it restarts from September 19. And the most important reason for this visit is Baltic Awards. As the ceremony will be right after this press conference, I'm not authorized to give you the name of winner. We'll do it later. I'm also glad that after first visit of Mr. Gabrielius, I guess in February last year, we invited to prepare new report about condition of two-sided and perspectives of Latvian-Lithuanian relations. And so today, after giving award of Baltic Award, we will officially receive this report. Those that prepare this report will come up with the main ideas how to improve cross-border cooperation, also in political and cultural cooperation. So today there is not only a regular meeting, but somehow we can say that previous report was done more than 10 years ago. So this is our chance to revive our two-sided relations, to look at perspective, new ideas, and journalists are, of course, kindly invited to connect to this discussion about how to develop our relations. After this report will be presented here, I would put the end of my presentation, and I'm always glad to hear and to see Mr. Gabrielius here in Riga and what he can say about what happens in Ukraine, what happens in the region, and about our two-sided relations. So floor is given to Mr. Gabrielius Landsbergis.
Well, thank you, first of all, Edgars, for allowing this opportunity for us again to meet. And I concur, indeed. We meet each other more often than we meet, at least I meet some of the members of my government. So I'm very glad that today we meet to celebrate. And apart from all the practical issues that we are discussing, we're celebrating Baltic unity. And even though it sounds symbolic, and a certain symbolism when we are knowing how close our countries are. But it also shows that there's always a need to deepen our ties between our two countries. And I'm glad that out of the symbolism that our Baltic unity provides come also practical solutions. And throughout the last 6 or even 7 months, we've been coordinating ever closely our approach when it comes to Ukraine. And it is noticed, and that we are seen as a very important and crucial region when it comes to setting a tone of how the question should be approached, how Ukraine can be helped, how Russia should be isolated even further. And I'm glad that without the Baltic unity, that would have been much more difficult. Yes, one of the main topics that we've discussed, and today and previously, is the upcoming Monday. And I think it's a good opportunity to use and to remind the viewers and those who are interested that next Monday will be quite an important day, where the entry to our countries for Russian citizens bearing Schengen visas will be dramatically restricted. And I'm glad that we've achieved a level of coordination where we are able to say that all 3 countries, and Poland including, are sharing the same view and will be applying the same rules. So I really, I would use this opportunity and say that those who are planning to enjoy free and easy entry since starting next week or Monday, I would suggest that those people who still have a valid Schengen visa and Russian passport would seek another way, not the ground route, coming either from Belarus or from Russia to our countries. Yes, we had a chance to discuss my recent visit to Ukraine, certain issues that have been discussed there, as the grain export, even though it is working with the help of UN and other partners like Turkey. But I think that it's also an opportunity to remind that why we still need a UN deal. Even though it is practical, but we would not need the UN deal at all if Russians would be allowing a free entry for all cargo that Ukraine needs or Ukraine has into Odessa port and other ports that Ukraine has. So I think that we have to be very clear that our end goal is not enjoying the UN broken deal, but having Ukraine the possibilities of any free country that we have. That means the trade also. Same goes for Zaporizhia. It is definitely in a dangerous position. If a nuclear disaster would happen, many countries in the European continent might be contaminated due to the naturally occurring winds. That means that the contamination will be spread around the European continent. And it's an actual and real worry that we share. But in order to secure the power plant, the only way to do it is to force Russian forces and Russian engineers that currently occupy the area and the nuclear power plant out of the territory. If Ukrainians, with the weapons that they are being provided, cannot currently at this moment, today, force Russian withdrawal from the whole territory, well, we have to make sure that at least the most dangerous parts of Ukrainian territory, such as Zaporizhia nuclear power plant territory, would be safe and securely back into Ukrainian hands.
Paldies ministra kungiem.
Thank you, ministers. Are there any questions? I can see Latvian Radio, Rihards Plume. Yeah, Richards Plumer, Latvian radio. I wanted to ask a question to Lithuanian Foreign Affairs Minister regarding energy crisis in Europe. We can see in national and in European level there are new ideas, new activities. How well Lithuania has been preparing for this winter, and how would you characterize those steps that Lithuania is going to make to support its citizens and enterprises to survive this winter?
We have discussed this with my good friend Edgars, that in every country, that every country feels as if we are alone in this crisis. That governments might do something better, that they might find better solutions to this crisis that Putin started, and we have to solve. But when we talk in Riga, when we talk in Tallinn, when we talk with our other countries, we understand that we are all in absolutely same situation, having all the same solutions to the same problem. So our solutions that are proposed here in Latvia and those who are proposed in Lithuania are very similar. We will be compensating to the households. We will be capping the prices. The issue that we are currently discussing in Vilnius is that we don't know where the price will settle. For the last few weeks, the price was going down for the gas, at least. That means that it's still very difficult to say how much the government is going to spend for the compensation. But that will definitely happen. Obviously, we will increase our transition, our green transition. Huge amounts of investment will be relocated towards wind and sun generating capacity, because that is probably still the only thing that makes Lithuania a bit different from Latvia and Estonia, is that we don't have major generational capacity that Estonians and Latvians have. Not necessarily that you use, but at least in cases of emergency, you have that. We don't. And that puts us in a bit of a more difficult situation, which we are unfortunately unable to solve very quickly. Because even though if we are transitioning, it will take time. We're talking 2 years, 3 years. With the whole project, it might come to 10 years. But it will take time. So I'm glad that we have these opportunities to share and exchange notes. This is how you understand that even in the most difficult and dire situations, you're not alone.
Can I just add one thing, that Latvians believe that Lithuanian government is doing much better and vice versa. That's the major, how to say, conclusion of our discussion.
Vai būtu vēl jautājumi? Kāšas kungs, lūdzu.
So, other questions, please.
Translators can be spared work. How is it going with the effort by the 3 Baltic countries and Poland to persuade the European Union to impose even tighter restrictions on the entry of Russians? I mean, this is sort of on the agenda. I think the Latvian Latvian foreign minister said that this is a first step what the 4 countries are doing, and I hope the rest of the European Union will join in. The second part of the question is, what are you going to do on Monday if somebody tries to come into either Latvia or Lithuania with a Schengen visa from Germany, hoping to go to Riga airport or Vilnius and fly on to Berlin?
Well, first of all, on the first part of the question, it's not the first time that Baltic states of Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia or Poland are leading by example. We have had already cases when we have started and the rest of the Europe has followed. I think that we got pretty good decisions that were informal decisions, because it was informal ministerial council in Prague about, first of all, suspending visa facilitation agreement with Russia. Second, all 27 EU member states acknowledge that so-called border members of the European Union have specific security concerns. And yes, indeed, we will continue discussing. We are awaiting the report from the Commission because we have asked the Commission at our meeting to provide legal analysis and proposals on what to do with the existing visas. That's one. Second part of the question is when we talk about closing external border to short-term Schengen visa holders, then we are referring to land border and basically also to the airports where we have flights from so-called third countries. If someone arrives to, let's say, Frankfurt or Madrid and continues journey to Riga or to Vilnius, then of course there is still a Schengen area. Those people are advised not to come. But basically, there are not going to be any national border checks, let's say, for flights from Schengen area airports or internally between, let's say, Latvia and Lithuania or Latvia and Estonia or Poland. But those people should know that they are coming to the country where their visas are not actually working. They should remember that even according to current standards, the Schengen visa is issued by the country and the entry point should be in the country that has issued the visa. So if it's Spanish visa, you can go directly to Spain. If it's German visa, you can go directly to Germany. But we would advise to think twice if they really want to have any business at this point in the European Union or particularly in Latvia. But basically, this is the kind of coordinated approach that we have agreed that there are not going to be internal border controls, there are not going to be any additional measures. And basically, if someone comes in, well, then in that case, he or she should be aware that their stay during their stay, the legality of their stay can be questioned, but there are not going to be any specific measures taken at this time. And we will continue to work, of course, and we will continue to share information among ourselves about implementation of those decisions, and also we will continue to work with other members of the European Union to address this issue further. What? There is a very clear policy. Those who are holders of short-term Schengen visa, issued by whomever, will not be crossing border between Latvia and Russia. In this case, no. Direct crossings, no. I was referring to those who have arrived in some other Schengen area country and they try to get in. So that was, I understood the question, but the person of Russian citizenship who has German or French or Finnish or whatever visa issued by other Schengen countries, if they try to cross land border between Latvia and Russia or Latvia and Belarus, but I just want to specifically say that applies only to the Russian citizens, or tries to fly from Istanbul to Riga and then to cross the border in the airport, those people will be turned back.
Yes, Minister.
If I may just add, kind of just to few points to what Edgar said. There is no visa ban. EU did not agree on a visa ban, so that means that visas are working. It means that people have visas. So the latest numbers that we've checked with the European Commission that were announced that there have been issued throughout the period more than 12 million Schengen visas for Russian citizens. Out of those 12 million, roughly 1 million are still valid. They're not canceled. Those people, big part of them, whenever they travel as tourists or for whatever other reasons, they travel through Baltic countries, Finland and Poland. This opportunity for them will be extremely limited starting next week. But that doesn't mean that they will be unable to reach Germany or other country via a third country. You know, they can travel. I will not suggest how, but they can travel. Just to be very specific and kind of to explain what are the expectations. Visa is valid when they cross a Schengen via air into some European member state. It is valid for 90 days. That means that within those 90 days, the people are able to travel. We're not imposing borders in Schengen zone between those countries who have border with Russia or Belarus. That means that there is a chance that a person might travel and reach Lithuania, let's say, and do something. But the number of those people, as I've said in the beginning, will be radically reduced so that we understand that, what are we talking about? That the visas are valid, the people are able to travel, just not through our countries. Not through our country. The airports is a different thing. We're still looking at it. We will announce how the airport will be working before Monday. Sorry? If he drives, there is no border between Poland and Lithuania. That means that a person can drive. He is able to drive. So just kind of, again, to be sure that where we are with current rules. We're talking about the borders with Belarus and Russia, Russian citizens with Schengen passports driving from Russia, either directly to Baltic states and Poland or via Belarus to Latvia, Lithuania or Poland. This was the agreement also found in Prague.
Okay.
Paldies, žurnālisti. Ja nav jautājumu,
Thank
paldies,
you,
ministra
journalists.
kungi.
If no more
Paziņoju, ka
questions,
konferences par
thank you,
noslēgtu. Visu labu.
ministers. The press conference is over. Thank you.